Hello, everybody. It's been a while, so I figured I would do a collective message for everybody. Um, so I'm going to actually use my Mother Mary Oracle, which is one of my absolute favorites. And I'm going to also pick a card out of the Rose Oracle, which is another beautiful, beautiful deck. And every time I do one of these, it seems like the world just continues in chaos. And because of that, I notice like in individual lives, more and more chaos seems to be showing up in the form, different experiences that people are dealing with. And so it's on a collective level with the world, it's on individual levels. And I just feel like we are in a time where the earth is shifting, and with the shift, it actually, things appear to be worse before they can actually begin to heal. And a healing process can be very chaotic. And that's a lot of what's been happening. And the only way to really navigate that, it's not so much about becoming ignorant of what's going on in the world. I think a lot of us want to pay attention, just so we have a little bit of understanding. But it really is to stay focused on healing oneself, the path of healing, that healing past, present, which then leads into the future and helps as we go forward. So I thought I would pick a card about that. So we're headed into the summertime. So this is coming out with my July newsletter. So we are full on summer. I don't know about you, hasn't felt like it yet. Aside from, plants in the garden, I have a feeling it's going to feel more like summer as we head into the 4th of July. So I thought I would do this just to kind of kick off a more lighthearted reading, if it comes out that way. So I will share what I get. It's funny, it's a card I picked earlier. And I'll give you my interpretation. So one thing about oracle cards I will mention, whether you have them or you read for others or you don't have any, on a personal level, what I like about oracle cards is, for even being intuitive or psychic, it's always easier to actually read other people than ourselves. We could get more blocked with ourselves. And sometimes when you're feeling just so like, I have no idea which direction to go in, or am I supposed to do this? Am I not supposed to do this? Or we can get, really stressed out about stuff. And sometimes an oracle card can bring in some clarity because it bypasses this noisy mind. The running joke in my classes is if you pick a card that like kind of doesn't make sense, and then you just keep picking cards that don't make sense, then your guides are telling you to take a breather, because we might be relying a little too much on trying to get guidance outside of ourselves. In the past, I have wanted to throw away a deck of cards over that, picking a card that just like was making zero sense to me, and I realized my guides were kind of making a joke about me. So the card in the Mother Mary deck is our Lady of Sacred Hearth, which has a lot to do with the home. I'll hold it. The imagery in this deck is just so beautiful. And it's the number 1, the card number is 1, so it's the first card in the deck. I am going to read a little bit from the book, only because, not because I need it, but because the message is so beautiful. So it starts with kind of a message from Our Lady, and I'll interpret a little. So And this deck is by Alana Fairchild, if any of you are interested in it. So Our Lady of Sacred Hearth. So this is the message, which first is like a channeled message from Mother Mary, and then the rest of it is a deeper, profound message. But her message is, you are my child and I am your mother. Your home, and through my grace, is always secure. You are never to fear being lost and abandoned, and your home is provided through my grace. You always have a home to return to through my grace. Surrender attachment and fear now, my cherished one. There is no need for it. Do you think that I would forget what you truly need? That I would deny you this? You who have belonged to me through all time and are my child, under my care and protection, let go of all such worries now and pray to me, and I'll assist you. So before I read more in the book, I will say, on personal level, I've had a huge devotion to the Holy Mother since a small child. This deck is not exclusive to being Catholic or Christian. The Mother Mary, or the Holy Mother, really is the great mother energy of the universe that is connected to all of us, regardless of our belief system. So I just wanted to make that known, even though some of the expression may come through that way. But she is for all of us. She's a mother to all. So this card too speaks of, when change is coming, or there's a fear of what's going to happen. There's a fear of worrying about being left behind, or being abandoned, or falling, or failing, whatever it is that we're dealing with. It's doubting the trust in the universe, or trust in ourselves. So it says there's times on our path when we've outgrown our old safety nets. Kind of like a hermit crab that outgrows its little shell, needs to search for a larger home. So, I mean, it could be quite blunt about home, but it's much more metaphorical than that. It's really outgrowing the aspect of who, maybe you're growing into a larger version of yourself. The more you heal, the more comes up. So when you think you've healed a lot, the next level comes up for healing when you're ready. It's just the cycle of life. So, it's happened to me in life where I feel like, we might identify, I identify as being a mom. I have a 16-year-old. I identify as owning the soul purpose. I'm a teacher. I'm a healer. But also there's parts of me who've had to own that there are the parts of me that show up as a healer throughout my 24 years of doing it. That some of it was rooted in my childhood. I've always wanted to be of service to humanity, but as a kid, even younger, the way I was safe in the family dynamic was to show up as a healer, meaning I was well behaved. I was a caretaker by nature. I was empathic, so I made sure everybody's needs were met, and sometimes at the expense of my own. And that was a part of my identity that kept me safe. It also came in handy throughout life, but it got to a point where I outgrew it. I needed to expand as an individual, expand beyond that identity, and call it out. So that's kind of what the Holy Mother's referencing here, is sometimes you have to stretch. You outgrow a safety net, or you outgrow a part of yourself that is a part of your identity. And sometimes that happens because you realize it. Sometimes it happens because things change in life where it's not necessary anymore. And you're faced with stepping up to this, like, up-leveling. That's what she's referring to here. It's about a change in life. It has to do with, as she says, is not falling back into old patterns, right? Not playing small or choosing the old pattern. It might be smaller, but it's comfortable. It's trusting that you've grown enough internally to support yourself and rise to the challenge of stepping into the next cycle. It's exactly what I was explaining. Energetically larger, being more empowered than you were before. So whether this change in your life relates to your home in a literal sense of where you live, where you'd like to move, whether it relates to that which may have felt like home, like either could be a relationship, could be a financial arrangement that supported you, a group or community that you once considered to be family, that you may have outgrown, or you have outgrown what has been a manifestation of something that you, like a role you've, part of your identity, as I've talked about, that you need to shift and up level. Either way, whether through trust or doubt or a mixture of both, there are times when growth has to happen. And you're at one of the times, this card's about that we're at a time like this, where this is a time in our life where we have to surrender to growth. With growth can be an uncertainty of what's to come. It can feel really scary. So, and we're perceiving this in the world too. So whether it's hitting you on a personal level, we're perceiving our world going through this, because in order to create change, great change, systems, old patterns, a way of doing things have to be reevaluated or changed. And with that often comes resistance, and with resistance comes conflict. And sometimes it takes conflict to get things to change. So we're all witnessing that too on a collective level. It's causing a bit of anxiety within the collective that a lot of us are feeling. So it's a card of trusting in the love of the universe. I always bring up the 5 Reiki principles, but the one that's just for today, will not worry. It's about a more beautiful path opening up in front of you that you have to accept, step into with courage. And courage does not mean the absence of fear. It has a lot to do with trust. So there's a healing process I'm going to guide all of us through, and to trust in the growing pains that are coming, that are going to lead to a more blissful, happy life. As I'm looking at the other cards I picked from the other deck, and one is the Great Mother, and I'll talk about these shortly, and the Holy Grail. It's finding what is need to be found without searching, like, meaning if there's been this endless searching, finding your purpose, finding whatever it is, it's more about going inward for the inner quest. So I'm going to touch on that in a minute. So I'm just going to guide everybody through this healing process, and then I'll talk more about the other 2 cards. But this is the healing process with this card. So I just want everybody, if you want to close your eyes for a minute and just surround yourself, visualize yourself surrounded by a beautiful blue field of light, and let the blue be whatever shade feels good, from the lightest sky blue to the deepest indigo, whichever appears or feels the most comforting for you. And imagine that the blue field of light is dappled with shining white flecks of light, like stars in the sky. The field of blue and white light is alive. It's the robe of the Heavenly Mother Mary, or the Holy Mother. And within those heavenly robes, allow yourself to feel truly safe and held, as though in a soft, divine blanket of light that protects you from all harm. You may feel emotion, or even have a sound escape from your body as you truly recognize this. Just be with the moment and what it is for you. Stay in that space and breathe in and out slowly for at least 7 breaths. So after you breathe those 7 breaths, if you need to pause this and restart, that's fine. When you're ready, you're going to repeat the following prayer after me in your mind or out loud. I call upon the Holy Mother Mary, Our Lady of the Sacred Hearth, and I ask for your divine protection, intervention, and guidance. May the light of your grace show me the way home. Guide and protect me as I venture through any difficulty that besieges me. Be with me, my beloved Mother. Hold me safe in your arms as I find my way from the confusion that arises from change into the clear light of the new day. The new day that awaits me now. Through your grace, this is so. Thank you. So you can repeat this affirmation. Mother Mary, full of grace, holds me safe within her eternal embrace. So this is a very powerful card. I think it's a very appropriate message for not even just for me personally, what the theme I'm seeing here with my students, the soul purpose, what I'm perceiving out in the world. And it's interesting that the other deck, the Rose Oracle, so I got the Great Mother and the Rose Oracle. Not the Rose Oracle, the Holy Grail. The deck is called the Rose Oracle. The Great Mother card is really about surrendering to that mystery, being able to fall into her arms. It's really hard. I don't know if any of you have ever done a trust fall. You know, I did that when I was in energy medicine school and some other classes, trainings I'm in, where you literally have to trust people to catch you. And I remember doing it and I stuck my butt out, right? I was so nervous. It brings up primal fear. So even if you feel like, oh yeah, I can do that, no problem. We had to stand up on this thing and literally you stand up and you just fall backwards straight and allow people to catch you. So once you get up there and once you start to fall, that primal fear steps in, and you immediately try to crunch up. And then I had to do it over again because I did that. I stuck my butt out and fell more in a seated position. So I did that and fell, and I was caught and held by the people that were in the class. And to me, I remember feeling like I'm okay. You know, these people caught me. And that's kind of what the great mother is saying, like, she'll catch you. She'll catch all of us. We just have to allow space for this change. We have to allow space for things to shift in our lives. As humans, we are, and I speak for myself too, we get comfortable. You know, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, so to speak, that old phrase. We have been taught to stay where what we feel is a false sense of security, like, oh, I'm going to stay in this job because I know what to expect. I might not be happy, might not like it, but I know what to expect. I'm going to stay in this relationship because it's comfortable. It might not be what I need. I might think about better for myself. I'm speaking in general terms here. But it feels safe, so I'm not going to do anything about it right now. I'm too afraid to deal with what could come with it, right? I feel a calling in my life to do this and follow this path, but I don't know how to go about it, so I'm not going to do anything about it. Just think of points in your life that you may get guidance, internal guidance, could drop in like a thought. It kind of comes here, and you're like, oof, I like that idea. You might even start to talk about it a little to people you trust, or you write about it, or you just start to think about it. And it moves here into the heart, and the heart's like, ooh, I love this idea. And then you get into the solar plexus. Doesn't even make its way down. When we manifest things into our life, we literally give birth to it, meaning we bring it into physical form here in the world. But first, it begins with a thought. It first forms in the mind. It drops in from the universe into the crown, into the mind. And we start to speak about it and we love it. And we get into trouble here in the third chakra, the solar plexus, which is personal power, because this is where our self-doubt comes in. It'll be like, who do you think you are? You can't do that. Or it tells you why you can't do it. And so it never makes its way. It comes back up. And it hides for a little bit, and then it drops back in again, and it keeps recycling. And it can, so if you have something that consistently pops up, you have to pay attention to it. It's normal for us as a human to try to ignore it or stuff it away because we don't feel we have the space in our life, you know. Your guides, your higher self, all that they are aligned with is your path on this life. And they know it more clearly than you do because we're veiled, meaning we were born into the world of earth and we forget. I guess that's part of the journey. I question that a lot. Like, why do we keep coming back and we forget what we learned in the previous life? We have to like relearn it. But your guides, that's part of the reason we have guides. Ancestors, spirit guides, archangels, all of it. Higher self is aligned into that. And it's only plugged into the path. It doesn't worry about money. It doesn't worry about the relationship you're in. It doesn't worry about what people are going to think of you. It just tells you the truth. And sometimes we don't want to hear it. In all fairness, I have told my guides, you know, you're not down here. You're not in physical form. You're not paying my bills each month, right? However, sometimes it feels like they don't understand because life can be difficult. And a lot of times the difficulty is stuff that could be changed if we believed in ourselves more, if we believed that we could do it. And we could change some of those limiting patterns without feeling guilt in our bodies or different things. It's tough being a human being. So then things come up deeper for us where we can't ignore it anymore. And then we face it, right? We have to face it. We have to surrender and trust. And we're seeing this on the collective level. So the message primarily is, though, to believe in yourself. You know, your guidance system's never going to tell you to jump headfirst into something and cause disaster in your life. It's going to give you a plan. And sometimes you just have to give yourself a chance to try that plan. You know, it's like I used like years ago when I left my banking career to step into this. I remember I knew it was a bit of a safety net in my mind that if this didn't work out, working in the holistic healing industry, spiritual industry, I could go back into the business field of banking. I wasn't going to forget everything I knew. Somebody would hire me back. And knowing that did create a sense of like, okay, I can give this a year or however long I can give it. And I didn't look back, but I eased into this. You know, I didn't just jump off a ship blindly because I was given a map. So you'd be given a map too, whether it's an actual guidance from or somebody helps you with that map. But these cards are all lining up that it's about the inner quest and assisting yourself in having those dreams come true. And sometimes in order to create your purpose, sometimes to make things happen in life that you dream about means you have to get uncomfortable to do it. You have to step through fears. You have to step through those old patterns. Patterns restrict the body. So even if the mind knows, I'm going to do this, as soon as the body feels uncomfortable, it's hard to push through that So you have to be very aware and mindful that the body can lock us down too, uh, through a fear or a trauma response. And but once you start to push through it, and you realize I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm still breathing, and I'm okay. And you feel empowered. You, in a way, break down that limiting pattern and make space for healing, so that you deal with the next thing, right? But you get stronger, and you deal with those things with a lot more strength, and you get through them a lot quicker. You face them head on. You don't hide from them, you know. And that's what I'm seeing here. Is it's something that we're all being called to do right now, as an individual, as a family, as a state, as a country, a nation, as a world. Um, and that's what I'm seeing here. So I hope you enjoyed this message, and you enjoy the newsletter that we're sending this out with, and see that we still have some good classes over the month of July. The first week of July, a lot of us will be on vacation. We'll still have services available. And we have some new services. If you go to the website and check that out, we have a reflexologist here now, and we have an astrologer here. Who's going to be teaching some classes as well. We've got some other things on the horizon coming in. I have a licensed mental health, like a social worker coming in, that's going to be working in September, starting in September. So we've exciting growth and things continuing here at the Soul Purpose. And as always, it's a pleasure for me to present this message. And I hope to hear from you soon. Any questions, you can always email me at jessica@thesoulpurposema.com. And I hope you all have a great evening.